My parents bought me a house in Beijing, but my boyfriend resents it behind my back and brags to his girlfriend that my house is your Beijing office and you can come whenever you want. When his girlfriend came over, she acted like the hostess and opened the door before me, put on my slippers, and provocatively asked who I was. When she saw my expression, Ching Yichuan even blamed me for being ignorant. Your house is my house, and my friends are your friends. She's used to being carefree. Why are you throwing a face? At that moment, I was certain I could not marry this man. The date of the house handover, I deliberately chose the day before Ching Yichuan's birthday. I thought, this birthday surprise would definitely make him happy. I took him to the entrance of the community and covered his eyes as we entered the house. The moment I pushed open the door, I let go of his hand and opened my arms. Ding ding ding. We have our own home. I looked forward to him rejoicing as much as I did, and was just as surprised. But Ching Yichuan just gave it a quick glance and frowned, saying, this? Outside the 6th Ring Road? Old and rundown? 2 bedrooms? On the 1st floor? His succession of question marks was like a bucket of ice water poured over my head, freezing me in my tracks. I had imagined his surprised face many times, but never imagined that he would be so disgusted. Ching Yichuan and I are both ordinary Beijing drifters. It is almost impossible to buy a house in Beijing with the salary of the two of us. My parents couldn't convince me otherwise. I like Ching Yichuan, but I'm afraid that I'll suffer. So he took out all of our savings and bought the flat for me. Ching Yichuan's family is poor, and he has a paralyzed father and a young brother. My parents understand how hard it is for him, and have never mentioned buying a flat to him. I also know that Ching Yichuan is sensitive and has low self-esteem, so I've never mentioned buying a flat to him either. From beginning to end, I never wanted to add to his pressure, but my parents have spent everything they have on this little home, but he kept on finding fault with it. Anyone would get angry at hearing that. I pulled a long face and snapped at him, if you don't like it, why don't you buy it yourself with your own money? With your own money? You bought this house with your own money? He visibly let out a sigh of relief, and looked around, before finally smiling. So it's not so bad, I said angrily. My parents bought it for me with their own money. On hearing this, Ching Yichuan returned to his old adoring manner, and put his arms around me. I was wrong. Our parents bought the best. Seeing that I was still pouting, he nudged my nose, and said with a smile, baby, you're mooching off your parents. That's not allowed. When we have money in the future, we have to pay your parents back. Somehow, this time when Ching Yichuan said this, I inexplicably felt a little uncomfortable. But before I could say anything, he let go of me, took out his phone and started shooting a video. When he got to the room, I heard him say in a low voice, I bought a house in Beijing. In the future, you can come here whenever you want, and my house will be your Beijing office. His face was filled with pride and joy, as if the person who had once disliked this house was not him. When I walked over, his video had already been sent. I asked him, who did you send it to? I can't just let anyone come to my house. Ching Yichuan hugged me, and vaguely ignored my question, saying, how could I just let anyone come? Ching Yichuan was right. He didn't let just anyone in, but he let just the wrong person in. The next day after tidying up the house, I ran into a petite girl outside my door. She was holding a bouquet of flowers, and stopped in her tracks. Before I could press the code, she pressed it first. The door swung open. She went straight inside, and took my slippers from the shoe rack. Then she stopped in the doorway. Fuming, she pointed at me and asked, who are you? What are you doing standing in my doorway? If you don't go, I'll call the police. I was shocked, and reflexively looked up to see the house number. This is obviously my home. Who is she? Why does she know my family's secrets? I looked up at her incredulously. A sudden wave of anger rose. I pushed her aside and entered the house. I stood in front of her. I should be asking you, who are you? This is my home. I should be the one calling the police. How did you know the code to my house? Believe it or not, I hadn't finished speaking when Ching Yichuan walked out. He was wearing an apron and holding a spatula. He ignored me completely and stared directly at the girl. His tone was one of unmistakable surprise. Ying, you're here. Xing Ying's arrogance had vanished. She thrust the flowers she was holding into Ching Yichuan's arms, and put on an aggrieved expression. She said, happy birthday, Brother Yichuan. As soon as I entered the door, she left her words unfinished, and a few tears fell from her eyes, as if she had suffered a great injustice. Ching Yichuan frowned, and put down what he was holding. Then he picked up the couple's cup he and I had used, and poured a glass of water, which he handed to Xing Ying. Ying, you drink some water first. I'll handle the rest. Only then did Ching Yichuan look at me, with a frown on his face. Anqi, what happened? What did you do to her? What made me even more speechless and laugh was when Shining heard my name and looked at me with teary eyes and said, "Oh, so your sister and she." I misunderstood and thought you were a bad person. I'm sorry. I caused you to argue as soon as I arrived. From the moment I entered the door, I haven't even had a chance to say a word to Ching Yichuan. Before she labeled me as someone who argues with Ching Yichuan. But I'm not someone she can PUA with just by saying a few words. I asked her directly, "Who are you? Why are you dressed like a toll collector and coming to my house?" She could hear the anger in my voice. Ching Yichuan calmed down. He wanted to hug me and explain. But my earlier, indiscriminate accusation had made me take a few steps back. "Auntie, Shining is a friend from my hometown. She's here for a couple of days. It happens to be my birthday today. So I invited her to dinner." "So," I said, word for word. "And you just gave her the code?" Ching Yichuan almost blurted out. "She's here, she's definitely staying at my place. How could I not tell her the code?" Ching Yichuan's words made me feel like he was a stranger. And from that moment on, my heart sank to the bottom of the abyss. A girl in skimpy clothes is staying at my place. Shouldn't he discuss it with me? I also lost my temper. "Ching Yichuan, you have to understand. This is my home. I don't agree with her staying at my place." In an instant, Ching Yichuan's face turned visibly pale and white. As Shining lowered her head to drink, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me into the kitchen. "Chenanchi, don't go too far." "What do you mean, your home or my home? This is our home. Your home is my home. My friends are naturally your friends too. What's wrong with welcoming a friend? Do you have to be so fussy? My sister from home is here. Do you want me to kick her out? I can't believe it. What kind of train of thought is this? My house has become his house. And his friends have become my friends? What kind of joke is this?" "Ching Yichuan, you're crazy. Do you know what you're saying? Not to mention that we're not married. Even if we were married, this house is my premarital property. How did it become yours? I've been in love with Ching Yichuan for 3 years. And this is the first time I feel like he's a stranger. The Ching Yichuan who said he cared about my feelings the most. How can he say such things to me now? Auntie, please." Seeing that I hadn't fallen for his PUA tactics, he lowered his tone. "It's my birthday. Can we just have a nice meal? Can we talk about whatever it is later? I'm begging you." As Ching Yichuan finished speaking, the cake I had ordered arrived. When I entered the door just now, it happened so suddenly. The door didn't close. When the delivery person carried the cake in, I noticed that there were a few nosy neighbors gathered at the door. After all, we had just moved here. I didn't want to make a scene. I temporarily suppressed the anger in my heart. When I brought the cake in, Ching Yichuan thought he had appeased me. He said, "Baby is the best." "Thank you, baby. I'll go cook for you." In the past, when he called me baby, I would feel all warm and fuzzy. Now, goosebumps are rising all over my body. There seems to be so much calculation behind this baby. After he got into the kitchen, he gave Shining a wink. And Shining got in, too. The two of them closed the kitchen door. One washed the vegetables and the other chopped them up. And even in front of me, they started chatting and laughing. As if they were a couple. And I was a guest in this home. Watching their intentional and unintentional physical contact, I suddenly felt amused. It turns out, in Ching Yichuan's heart, I am actually generous to this extent. When the meal was served, Ching Yichuan glanced at me. "Baby, today I made everything you like. I'm good to you, right? It's my birthday. I cooked for you. And it's all your favorite dishes." He emphasized the word birthday. But I just want to laugh. I don't eat onions. Or celery. But there's stir-fried beef with celery. And an omelette with chopped green onions on the table. Shining was resting her chin in her hand. And put a chopstick full of celery into her mouth. Yum. Auntie's favorite dishes are the same as mine. They're all my favorites too. Who likes these dishes, anyway? It's obvious. Shining gave me a provocative look. And before I could say anything, she started praising Ching Yichuan again. "Brother Yichuan, you're really amazing. You can cook and you can socialize. You can cook delicious food and make money. Everyone in the village praises you. You can buy a house in Beijing. If I had a boyfriend like you, I would never let you, a big man, cook. Auntie is really lucky. Brother Yichuan buys you a house. Brother Yichuan cooks for you." Some people still complain about this and that. Ching Yichuan listened to these words, and his mouth corners almost rose to the heavens. He was sure that I had just been coaxed by him, and was sure that I would give him face and swallow my pride. He didn't even look at me, nor did he show any intention of siding with me. He even added, "Your sister Auntie is indeed very lucky to have met me." After saying that, he gave me a meaningful look, as if to imply that I should cherish it. Shining also sweetly added, "If I had ignored my family's objections and stayed with you, I would have been so lucky, and I would have cherished it." When Ching Yichuan heard this, his face beamed with pride. as he looked at Shining and laughed lightly, and offered her a chopstick full of food. You don't stand a chance anymore. Because you didn't cherish me when I was a potential gem. Ha ha ha. The two of them flirted and laughed right under my nose. As if I didn't exist. A wave of anger suddenly rose to my head. I suddenly got up, and couldn't help tipping the table of food onto the floor. The whole table of food instantly shattered onto the floor, splashing with hot soup. Shining was so shocked that she hid behind Xing Yichuan. Her eyes were red, and she pouted, clutching his arm. Brother Yichuan, did I say the wrong thing? Every grain of rice is hard-earned. Sister Anchi, this is such a waste of food. This is all the food you worked so hard to make. Xing Ying's trembling voice made Xing Yichuan grit his teeth. Chen Anchi, what's wrong with you today? Ever since you walked in, you've been acting like someone owes you $1 million. Who pissed you off? I already explained what happened earlier. I also tried to appease you. What more do you want? Can you stop being so unreasonable? Shining is young and doesn't know any better. Don't you know any better? I didn't give him another chance. When he tried to continue with PUA, I just went over and kicked him. I told him very clearly that you have provoked me, and now I'm the unreasonable one? What do you mean this is your house? Did you contribute a dime or two? Oh, I remember now. You didn't contribute a dime. That's not true. You're just blowing smoke. After all, you're just blowing hot air. I bet all the cows in your hometown are confused. I pointed at Shining and continued, I don't care where this green tea crap comes from, or where it came from, just get the hell out of here. My home can't accommodate her. Before you go, throw away the shoes you wore, the cups you drank from, and the things you touched, and buy me new ones, or I'll call the police, and report you for trespassing. In Xing Yichuan's eyes, I have always been gentle and sensible, and never too aggressive about anything. So when he heard these words, couldn't believe it and looked at me for a long time, before he managed to say, Chen Anchi, are you crazy? Yes, I'm crazy. Crazy to have been with you for so long. Crazy to want to pay for a house and marry you and have children with you. Xing Yichuan, I'm officially informing you. We're breaking up. Take your pot of green tea and get the hell out of here with it. Shining was crying on the side, her eyes red from crying. While Xing Yichuan wasn't looking, she glanced at me, arrogantly gave me a face. She also curled the corners of her mouth in mockery. I couldn't stand it anymore and rushed up to her. I slapped her. One slap is enough for one person, but 2 slaps are enough for 2 people. I slapped Xing Yichuan as well. Do you understand? Get out. But what I didn't expect was, Xing Yichuan also seemed to have changed. He didn't feel the slightest bit of grief that it was me. Instead, he felt that I was being unreasonable. He grabbed my hand and pushed me. Chen Anchi, I gave you face today, didn't I? What do you mean your house, your home? Could you have all this without me? What else can you do besides mooch off your parents and put on airs? When my back hit the table, he freed his hand to pull out a tissue and wipe Xing Ying's tears. He took off his fierce look and soothed. It's okay. Don't cry. I'm here. She can't bully you. Then he looked at me viciously and said, apologize to Ying. I didn't care about the pain, and grabbed something on the table and threw it at him. Apologize? You shake your brains and say it again. This is my home. My name is on the property deed. Who do you think you are? If you don't get out, I'll call the police. As I shouted these words almost angrily, Shining was also screaming next to me. While screaming, she shrunk into Xing Yichuan's arms, crying and shaking with fear. When she saw me lose my temper, Xing Yichuan's expression changed several times. After a while, he still pushed Shining away, and whispered something to her. Shining gave me a slightly provocative look before slamming the door and walking away. I didn't care what they had said. All I cared about now was why Xing Yichuan still hadn't left. From the moment he picked up my cup and poured water for Shining, the little bit of love I had left for him was gone. I looked at him coldly, why don't you get out of here? But Xing Yichuan was like a chameleon, and when he looked up at me, he changed his appearance again. He lowered his eyes, and squeezed out a few tears. With a croaking voice, he said, Anchi, what's wrong with you today? Now that things have come to this. He's still asking me what's wrong? I suddenly burst out laughing. In the past, I would have broken down and yelled, and cried, asking him a million whys. But now, I don't want to say another word to him. Seeing that I was treating him coldly, Xing Yichuan continued, yes, I admit that Shining liked me, but I have no feelings for her. You are the one I love most. I felt a dry heave. I couldn't hear the words of love coming from his mouth right now. In a rage, I rushed into the bedroom, rummaged through the closet and threw his clothes out into the doorway. Get out! Get out! As I shouted these words with all my strength, Xing Yichuan suddenly dropped to his knees in front of me. His actions made me flustered. Anchi, I was wrong, okay? Is this really such a big deal? I did it for a reason. A 1.8 meter tall man kneeled in front of me, crying with tears and snot streaming down his face. but I no longer wanted to listen to his fabrications. To me, this was no small matter. Ching Yichuan, if you're a man, just get out of here. Don't make me look down on you. Seeing that I interrupted him and didn't take him seriously, he froze for a few seconds and then suddenly got up and cursed, "You're sick. Your own heart makes everything look dirty. You think you're so great? What does the house have to do with you? Let me tell you. Being a burden on your parents is the most shameful thing. I didn't give an inch. Yes, yes, yes. You're not dirty. You're clean, just that you should have been honest with her in the first place. I'm a freeloader, that's because my parents are capable. Unlike you, who can't even freeload." I stood up and stared at him. Word for word, Ching Yichuan. Don't you take me for a fool. Aren't you just inferior and arrogant? You deliberately called her over and chatted with her in the kitchen, deliberately inducing her to say those flattering things to you, to prove to me that you're popular? Isn't it because my parents bought me a house that you're afraid of being inferior to me and deliberately put on this show? Isn't it to make me feel inferior and make me willingly give you this house to keep you? Isn't it because Shining previously despised you for being poor and wanted to even the score and see two women fight over you? Ching Yichuan, don't really think of yourself as a scion. Ching Yichuan, whose thoughts I had read, looked like an overturned paint palette, with his face turning from green to red. He didn't expect me to be so ruthless as to expose him and lay bare all his tricks. At that moment, he looked like a clown, biting his teeth and clenching his fists. The moment he met my gaze, even his facial features were distorted. Chenanchi. You. When he was red in the face and unable to say another word, I slapped him hard and pushed him out and slammed the door as I let out a sigh of relief and realized with a start that my hands were shaking. Yesterday, we were still happily looking forward to a future together in this home. But today, we have already reached the point of falling apart. But I don't feel sad at all. Instead, I feel fortunate that I recognized his true colors before we got married. I originally thought this was already the worst of it. But I didn't expect the worst was yet to come. Ching Yichuan didn't leave. He first knocked on the door quietly, begging me to open the door and admitting his mistakes. When he didn't get a response from me, he knocked louder and louder and even started shouting. More and more neighbors gathered to watch, and he started making up stories. "Anchi, you're just an ordinary person from an ordinary family. Where did you get the money to buy this house? You know damn well. On your own? With your parents? You think you can afford a place here? Don't think that no one knows about the shady things you do. Chenanchi is shameless. Everyone can see that he's just a man. Don't let her seduce you. The more rumors spread, the more outrageous they become. I won't let him get away with it." I reported him directly. When the police arrived, I opened the door and threw his things out with them. When the police arrived, Ching Yichuan caved in. He kept saying that it was a family conflict. After I repeatedly stated that I had broken up with him and had no relationship with him anymore, he was shaking with anger. "Chenanchi, you've made up your mind to really break up, haven't you? Fine. Don't regret it. Since you want to break up, give me back all my stuff." As I watched him lose his temper, my head suddenly started to hurt. What kind of dog did I feed my youth to in these past few years? In full view of everyone, Ching Yichuan pushed past me and entered the house and started marking which things he had bought. A mouthwash cup, tissue paper, A4 paper, 2 bananas, an apple, insecticide, a wall calendar, a massage hammer, half a bottle of cream, a few eggs left over from cooking earlier. Holding all these things in his arms, he yelled, "I bought all of these." Not only me. Even the neighbors burst out laughing. We had been in love for 3 years, and we both spent our own money. He hardly bought any household goods. Even these were. He pretended to buy. I feel both funny and ashamed. "Anything else?" I asked him. "Look carefully. Take it all away. I don't like it dirty." "Of course there is. I gave you gifts, all returned to me," he said with a stiff chest. "The bag I gave you. The jewelry I gave you. All returned to me. If it weren't for these I almost forgot. Usually on holidays, he does give me gifts." I have to admit that Ching Yichuan is a thoughtful person. He remembers every holiday and gives me little gifts to provide some emotional value. When I'm unhappy, he can also conjure up little gifts to cheer me up like a magician. In the past, when we were in love, I never knew that he was such a petty man. I wasn't after money when I was with him, so the bag he gave me was fake, and the jewelry he gave me was gold-plated silver. I never pointed this out either. Every time he told me how long he had saved to buy me a designer bag, I carefully protected his pride and played the role of an innocent, clueless bunny. But after a long time, he really did start to treat me like an ignorant bunny, including what he did today. He really did treat me like an idiot. Seeing that I was in a daze, Ching Yichuan repeated, "Give me back all those designer brands, designer bags, and all the gold jewelry. Now you know you can't let go? I'll tell you. You don't stand a chance. I laughed at him in anger and went back inside to rummage through all those things. Now that we've come to blows, I've become more cautious. I pretended to be very sorry and took them out. Is this it? Yes. He answered very affirmatively. These are the big brands. Okay. As long as you admit it. I won't have to say later that I gave you fake ones. Ching Yichuan, you think I don't know these things are all fake? You're so shameless. To give fake things as gifts. Only you can do it. Ching Yichuan's face immediately fell. I looked at him like I was looking at a fool. And made him swallow his words, in front of the police officer. You admitted that these things are yours. And I returned them to you. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't say I switched the fake ones. Go. Take these counterfeits and go act like a big shot in front of your little treasure. Once my words were out, everyone laughed. And shook their heads. Ching Yichuan's face went from white to black. And back again. In the past, I would have helped him in every way I could when I saw him so embarrassed that he wanted to hide under the floorboards. But now, I feel disgusted just looking at him. The police officer couldn't bear to watch any longer, and gave Ching Yichuan a lecture. He dispersed the crowd and left. When we were left alone in the room, Ching Yichuan and I began to play the relationship card. Anchi, how long have we been together? I didn't say a word. He began to count. 3 years, 68 days and a half. So? You're so heartless. That you won't give me any face? You exposed me in front of so many people. Aren't you ashamed? You always knew that these things were fake. Why didn't you say anything earlier? I admit that I'm vain. I'm inferior. I want to be strong. But I also love you. If I didn't love you, why would I do such a thing? I don't understand the point of your breaking up with me. Just because Shining came to dinner at our house? Just because I wanted to be a family with you and say that the house is mine? I got dizzy for a moment. And almost let him confuse me. He was behind all the scandals. Why should I feel ashamed? The only thing I feel ashamed of is having fallen in love with him. Things have come to this. He's acting like a schizophrenic. I let out a deep breath. And took out a sexy nightie I had just found. And threw it in his face. This size, is it not for me? Shining, you came over for dinner and you helped someone buy their pajamas? A black lace set? Ching Yichuan. Don't stutter and explain. And change the subject. We've already broken up. I didn't show it in front of everyone just now. And have already been kind. If you don't leave, I don't mind making a scene. Oh, by the way, I returned the things you gave me earlier. Go home and count them. And return the things I gave you to me. You don't have to if you don't want to. Just give me 50,000 yuan. And I'll consider it a gift. We'll part on good terms. And be even. Ching Yichuan's face turned white as I kicked him out. Before I closed the door, I let out a sigh of relief. He let out a wail. But what does that have to do with me? I could fall in love with him in an instant. And let him go just as quickly. My youth is gone. But the money I spent on him is not. He gave me fake things. But I gave him the real thing. I'm lucky to be getting back 50,000 yuan. After Ching Yichuan left, I immediately called the cleaning service. And had the whole house cleaned. And disinfected. To get rid of all traces of him. I felt completely comfortable again. Rotten people and rotten things. Should be stopped in time. I'm an ordinary girl. But I'm not a pushover. Once I'm not in love. And have let go. I can also be ruthless and live my own life. I was planning to take a comfortable bath and go to sleep. When my phone started ringing nonstop. And WeChat messages came one after the other. From classmates. And friends. And plastic sisters asking me. Have you bought a house in Beijing? How much is the house price? Although house prices have fallen now. Beijing property is still not cheap. How did you manage to buy one? I'm afraid you can't afford it on your own. You just bought a house and abandoned your boyfriend? Anchi, aren't you being a bit too much? Where did the money come from? Show us how you did it. We want to live a good life too. Hee 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 hee. Looking at all the weird and strange things. I knew that Ching Yichuan had spread the news. I only told him that I had a house in Beijing. Ever since I was young, I've been an ordinary person. With an ordinary appearance. And ordinary grades. And an ordinary job. And now this ordinary person of mine has a flat in Beijing. And that makes a lot of people unhappy. The rumor got more and more ridiculous. After a few days, it had already seriously affected my normal life. Without any actual evidence. I couldn't do anything about him. Ching Yichuan even took the initiative. And sent me a message saying, it's not my fault. But the masses have discerning eyes. If you beg me to deny it. And I'll help you clarify it. I pulled the corners of my mouth. And directly created a group with Ching Yichuan. And replied together. Yes. I bought a house. In full payment. Of course the money was given by various rich fathers. If you are capable, go and find a rich father too. I won't mind being your neighbor then. As for Ching Yichuan, you can watch the video for details. Anyone who isn't blind will know what's going on. As for those who are blind, you can continue to spread rumors. I have money to buy a house and also have money to hire a lawyer. I know it's hard to explain to these people, so I might as well just say whatever I want. As for the video, I bought a surveillance camera the first day I moved in, and Ching Yichuan installed it himself. Everything that happened that day was recorded clearly, including the way he cried, screamed, swore, and cooed like a schizophrenic. Ching Yichuan, you still owe me 50,000. You have 2 days to pay me back. After sending this message, I immediately dissolved the group, and I felt really satisfied. The next morning, I was woken up by the sound of someone entering the password, and when I leaned closer to the door I heard Ching Yichuan's voice. She had actually changed the password. I pulled open the door with a click and saw him and Shening. What surprised me was that it had only been a few days since I last saw them, and the two of them looked so polished and glamorous, as if they had become a different person. Shening was dressed in designer clothes from head to toe, and deliberately carried her designer bag in front of her chest, right in front of me. Ching Yichuan looked completely different. Even his hair smelled of money. Neither of them paid me any attention. They even stepped back, covering their noses. Looking at them like this, they really are a perfect match. Shening said, "Tut tut. What a mess. You're such a letdown just by looking at you in the morning." I retorted, "You're exquisite. Your whole family is as delicate as a mannequin. If you have something to say it. If not, get lost." Ching Yichuan, however, was not annoyed, and chuckled lightly, waving a stack of money in the air. 50,000. Not a dime less. You clarified in front of Ying that I had already broken up with you, and you promised not to bother me again, and not to affect my relationship with Ying. And the 50,000 yuan is all yours. He boasted to me I was faking being poor. In fact, haha, I'm quite rich. I originally thought that it would take a lot of trouble to get back the 50,000 yuan. I didn't expect Ching Yichuan to give it to me so quickly. Seeing my incredulous expression, Ching Yichuan kept peeking at me, trying to read jealousy and resentment on my face. Knowing him as I do, he sends all of his monthly salary back home to his paralyzed father, younger brother, and irresponsible mother. He's become rich overnight? Whether he's rich or not has nothing to do with me. Anyway, all I can see now is the money in his hand that belongs to me. Ching Yichuan looked down on me from above. His eyes glanced at me contemptuously. His mouth was slightly open. Before he could say a word, I was afraid that he would regret it. I agreed in a second. I promised to stay away from you. I won't even look at you again. I finished speaking in one breath and took the money in his hand. I slammed the door. I wish you 100 years of happiness. And 10 sons soon. The money is coming back. And I've lost the person. My life is about to restart. But before I could enjoy myself for a few days, Ching Yichuan's side was up to mischief again. This time, it surprised me even more. Ching Yichuan's mother called me. Out of courtesy, I still answered, but she obviously didn't know that I had broken up with Ching Yichuan. As soon as she answered the phone, she said in a mournful voice, "Auntie, what should I do? What should I do?" Yichuan's father had another stroke. The hospital is urging for payment. Yichuan's younger brother is also a troublemaker. He knocked his classmates' head open at school and now they want compensation. Auntie, what should I do? The other day Yichuan said he was going to raise the money, but now I can't get in touch with him. He's by your side, isn't he? You two hurry up and send money home. Auntie, I interrupted her wailing. I broke up with Ching Yichuan. Don't tell me about your family's problems. After hanging up the phone, I was still a bit scared. Thank goodness I broke up with him. The other day he had money. Now he has none. I'm not interested at all. I just hope he doesn't come looking for me. But what I feared came to pass. The next morning as soon as I opened the door, I saw Ching Yichuan crouching in the doorway. The unshaven Ching Yichuan in the doorway startled me. The other day that big shot. Ching Yichuan, full of self-confidence and vigor, looked as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes stared blankly at me as he asked, "Auntie, can you give me another chance? I really see Shenying's true colors now. And I really know I was wrong. I borrowed so much money and bought her so many things, but when she heard that my father and my younger brother wanted to spend money, she sneaked away without saying a word. I can see clearly now, she is not the one I can grow old with, you are." From Ching Yichuan's disgusting words, I pieced together his delusional life during this period of time. In order to pretend to be rich in front of Shening, he borrowed money from her to buy things, and he owed money on various platforms. But when there was an emergency at home and money was needed, Shening secretly took away all the valuable things. And all the troubles came. The company laid off staff and I was also laid off, and the compensation I got was not enough to pay back the interest on my debts. My father had another stroke. Ching Yichuan, who was at his wit's end, trembled as he spoke. His eyes were red as he stared at me. "Auntie, I haven't had any luck since I left you." I found that funny. So in his mind I'm the one who's to blame. I interrupted him and took a few steps back. First, there is a cause and an effect, and who caused your effect? Go find them. Second, I'm not stupid or naive. I don't do good deeds. I won't get back together with you. And I won't lend you any money. Third, if you keep pestering me, I'll call the police. Ching Yichuan looked at me as if he didn't know me, and asked with a hint of a sob, "Are you really that heartless?" After saying those words I locked the door and strode out. What happened to Ching Yichuan? I really don't care anymore. The story between us had come to an end from the moment he called Shining over. First floor? By then, I hadn't had time to tell them about the breakup. But fortunately my parents love me very much and trust me. Ching Yichuan's wild fabrications. They simply didn't believe it. My father said, "You are my precious daughter, I know exactly what kind of person you are. No one knows the tricks of men better than I do." I don't believe a word he said. Stop in time, stay away from bad people and bad things. It's most important to love yourself twice as much. I'm glad that my parents are sensible and love me and believe in me. But Ching Yichuan doesn't have that good fortune. His family is like a bottomless pit, chasing after him for money. In a fit of anger, he found Shining, and the two fought in the street over money and designer bags and clothes. Shining stripped him bare. Ching Yichuan's thumb was bitten off by Shining. When Ching Yichuan's mother called to tell me, I felt like I was hearing a stranger's story. My heart felt no emotion. Ching's mother cried and told me, the doctor said that being bitten is even more serious than being bitten by an animal. If it doesn't heal, it will kill him. After listening to her sobbing, I hung up the phone with a faint "oh," and then blocked all the people related to him. What does it matter to me if he dies or not? After all of this is his own fault.